What? No, I don't want to do that.
You're going to have a great time.
No.
You might meet some new people.
No.
You'll even make some new friends.
No.
Okay, let's start with the story mode. The story mode was promised to be an Empire-focused campaign, which sounds really cool in concept because, you know, now the players get to explore the side of the enemy. And they can go in a lot of different directions with this, but overall with the story of the campaign, it is entertaining, but there's a lot of missteps here and missed potential. I'm going to be talking about some campaign spoilers ahead, so here's your warning. The main character, Aiden, is part of Inferno Squad, which is kind of like a special ops squad, and she works for the Empire. After a few missions, she switches sides because the Empire threatens her planet, and she decides at this point that the Empire has gone too far. I'm fine with them exploring the side of the Empire and seeing individual changes amongst a person starting out in one place and then going someplace else. I'm fine with that. It's an interesting concept. You see that in a lot of really good movies. You look at Last Samurai, he starts out in one place, then he's in another place fighting for another side. I just feel like the story here could have done a better job of showing this change for Aiden. The game does a decent job of showing that she has an emotional connection to her planet, but it would have been that much stronger had the player really cared about the people on the planet. I feel like what would have been a good idea, this is just a potential idea, a concept that they could have used is show flashbacks of Aiden with a village elder or mentor as she grows up. So you get to see these sequences of the mentor trying to teach Aiden these valuable life lessons or stuff that turns her into what she's going to be. So we get some attachment then to someone who is on that planet so that when the planet is eventually threatened, we care about that individual who is part of that planet that's being threatened. And so does Aiden at that time, so we both care, and I feel like that just adds more emotion to the story and more stakes to the situation instead of being like, I care about this planet, and then the player's like, that's cool, but I know nothing about the planet, so... And what would have been cool too is, okay, the planet's then threatened, but don't have her turn just yet. Have that be a big moment for her to realize, okay, maybe the Empire is going a little too far, and have some stuff happen on the planet that makes her think, this is just a little too much, this isn't right. And then throughout the campaign, have a couple missions after that, have that event sit with her for a while, and then run into some ambiguous moments in the game with moral ambiguity. And I think that would have helped her to where we get to the eventual point of her changing sides, it will feel earned. You know, she experienced that she was with the Empire, then she sat with this decision that kind of stayed with her and made her want to change. She experienced some other little things where she decided to do, say, the right thing, and then she changes sides. I think that would have done a lot more for the campaign. The narrative and story, as it stands, it's fun mode, and it's an entertaining story, but it does leave with a really bad cliffhanger. And I understand that new and free story content is coming very soon, but I feel like where they left it was just a bad spot. Because the mission prior to the last mission was a great spot to leave the campaign. I mean, yeah, the campaign was short as it is, but where they could have left it would have made it seem like a completer package rather than where they left it. It just felt obvious being like, here's a cliffhanger, and guess what? You just paid full price for not the whole campaign. See you later, where we release more campaign for you. So that was just sort of frustrating, having the whole incomplete narrative there. I will say that the best missions in the campaign are when the game switches from on-foot sections to then flying sections. This change up in the action is really good, it lets you see different parts of the battle, and it probably shows off the best parts of the levels, because nothing gets too samey because you keep changing things up. Along with that, the presentation is really good in the game. I mean, the game nails the sound and look of the Star Wars universe. I do find it weird that there isn't a cover system in the campaign mode. I'm completely fine with them not having a cover system in the multiplayer, but in campaign you will have enemies and allies using cover, like blatantly look like they are stuck on a piece of cover, like there is a cover system in the game, but the game doesn't want me to use it for some odd reason. I just think that's odd. One last bit about the campaign. There's forced chapters in the campaign where they don't have you play as Aiden. Instead, they have you play as traditional Star Wars heroes, say as Leia, Luke, or Han. I don't like this. It totally takes away from Aiden's story and really breaks up the flow of the narrative and the growth of her character. There's a mission where I'm playing as Leia. Aiden is present in the battle, but we don't see her for the whole battle. You see her in the beginning and you see her at the end, and you just play as Leia. I think it would have been better to play as Aiden and fight beside Leia, have the computer be Leia, but always continuously be Aiden. Or better yet, play as other members of Inferno Squad. I don't see the reason to be Leia or Han or anyone like that. Having said that, the best mission with one of the traditional heroes is where you get to play as Lando. It probably has some of the most funniest bits in the game and some really good writing there. Having said that, I rather would have been the Inferno soldier that was with Lando during that mission. Now before I get into multiplayer, let's talk briefly about arcade mode. So arcade mode lets you play a bunch of bot matches with friends in only local co-op. I love that this game has split screen co-op, but it doesn't have online co-op, so I don't really see why they took a step back. In 2015, it had co-op, it had it online, and it had it offline. Maybe the co-op features are locked away in a loot box somewhere. I have no idea. They need to patch that, because I don't get why that's not here. You know, I have friends come over, that's fine. You know, I can play on the same TV with them, but they go back home to their house, why can't I play online with each other? Doesn't make any sense. Arcade mode has a section called Battle Scenarios. Now, this was really disappointing because essentially in these modes, it's just a bunch of team deathmatch and minimal survival modes against bots. Battle Scenarios would have been a great opportunity to have us relive some of the awesome set pieces from the movie series. Let us go back to the attack on the Death Star, or the Battle of Hoth, or the fight over Naboo. This would have been a great opportunity to have those big set pieces and to be able to play them with friends. I love survival modes, and I do like that this game gives you a survival mode and definitely gives you options to be able to change up some of your survival modes, but I feel like it needs more options and more ironing out to it. The game kind of just like, it essentially just diarrheas out enemies at you continuously. There isn't waves like in the last game. And the reason why I think they need waves is because it kind of gives you a break in the action. Lets you be able to take your breath a little bit and then kind of get ready for the next bit. I like that. It adds a bit of nice pacing to it instead of just feeling like it's continuous all the time. Give me that break in the action. It helps it and definitely strengthens your mode. And I do like that they give you options here, but I just want more of them, and I feel like some patches could definitely fix this area in the game. Also too, they only let you play bot matches with survival and team deathmatch. All multiplayer modes need to be available in arcade, because bots are essential into preserving the multiplayer after the player base has moved on. Let's talk about multiplayer. The multiplayer needs help. The larger map modes have a tendency to consistently lag, even if your internet connection is solid. It has lagged so bad that I was killed by an enemy that I killed, and he apparently punched me from the grave. I don't know how that happened. Maybe he got a ghost fist ability from the loot boxes. Who knows? I tend to enjoy the smaller modes like Strike, which is just a small objective-based mode. The problem with a lot of the Strike maps, though, is they seem to be designed to have one team essentially win, because there's these really bad choke points that happen in the maps where, depending on which side you're on, it can be really hard to push through the enemy to get to your point. I feel like the maps could be a bit better designed to be able to not have those obvious choke points in them. Along with that, I do feel like there's some other issues with the multiplayer. One big one I had is just the party system is crap in this game. And it wasn't even that great in 2015's Battlefront, but here it's really annoying, in which I will try to join a friend's map and then it won't let me join, and then he'll back out to then join me, and then it will pop me in a match. It's confusing, it's weird, it needs to be fixed. So when you complete matches, you're awarded with credits. Credits earned doesn't seem to be tied to how well you did on a match, but rather for how long a match goes on for. I seem to get around the 300 range for credits, about 350, 380, something around there. We've had some longer matches go on for Strike that went on for a longer time, and I got pushed into, say, the 400 credit range or even the 500 credit range. I really think that it is based on how long a match goes and not so much on player player ability in the match. I will say too that socialists will love the rewards in this game, because essentially if you did well in a multiplayer match, I was at the top of the board one time, I got 380 credits. My friend was middle of the board, he got 360 credits. See the problem there? There's really no incentive to do well in this game. Essentially you should just turn the game on, pull multiplayer on, okay? And just leave your controller there, or apparently rubber band it. See, that's how you know your progression is broken, is when people are like, oh, there's a rubber band trick, that if you rubber band your controller, you can just leave your game on overnight and get a bunch of progression and get a bunch of credits while not even playing your game. That shows that the progression in your game is not dishing out the right amount of rewards for people because they feel like they effectively need to cheat to beat that system because they don't feel the system is fair or worth their time. And I will say that. Progression is slow, and I don't like that it's pretty much tied to the loot boxes in this game. The loot boxes take forever to earn, and they don't consistently give you the rewards that you really want. Though you can use real money to buy these loot boxes, and that has been removed right now, but that urge to want to be able to pay for those loot boxes and pay for that to get faster progression, it's definitely there, and it's probably one of the few games where I actually feel that urge to be like, it's so slow here at times that I'm like, maybe I'll drop a couple No, don't do it, Joe, don't do it. Now, having said all this, I tend to do really well in Battlefront's multiplayer, and I don't really do that well in multiplayer type games, and I do have fun playing this with friends because I love Star Wars, and I'm doing decent in the multiplayer. But having said all of that, this game is broken, unfinished, and a shallow experience. It's only elevated a bit by the license that it uses. The game needs some serious improvement because the foundation of its multiplayer progression system and essentially experience, it's broken and it needs help. I recommend that even though I do have fun with this game, there are a lot of issues with them and I see them present, and I will say this, do not buy this game unless you really love Star Wars, and I'm saying really love Star Wars, and you really like multiplayer games. But I do hope that this game does see improvements in the next 6 months to a year, because I think it's going to take a while for them to really fix the issues that are at play here. So that's my review on EA Star Wars Battlefront 2. What are your thoughts on this? Did you like the game? Did you like the campaign? What does it need? Does it not have enough loot boxes for you? Do you want to play as a pink Darth Vader? Are you really wishing that Pandemic wasn't fired by EA and they were still working today and they could make more awesome games? I do, because that'd be great. But anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.